Welcome back to Markets Today. If you're just joining us, we were taking a look at what to expect in the year 2020, at least at a macro level. What is the expectation for the GDP growth? What do we see happening with regards to fiscal policy, monetary policy? In other words, for you as a Mwananchi or as a professional in this economy, what are your expectations supposed to look like, and how should we be able to mirror that, at least to be able to make the best of this year? Mr. Abraham Kamau, who is the CEO of Miradi Capital, is with us in studio. Before we took a break, Abraham and I were debating on whether you should have ugali. He thinks it should be priced at 50 shillings, a bag of jogo. Now, please clarify this. If we eat ugali, if it's priced at 50, si tutakula ugali nyingi na tusahau kufanya kazi?
The average Kenyan eats, I think, they say about 24, 20, the whole bale, okay. One bale per person per year.
Per year, okay.
And it's a good, actually, personally, I would not mind eating it every day.
Is it?
I have no problem with it.
Okay.
But you see, what we're saying is, most Kenyans are going to bed hungry. And this food can be made affordable.
So maybe these are the considerations that need to be factored in.
Yeah, because if everybody's eating, we'll even have less health problems. Because the more malnourished you are, the easier you are to get sick. And other things that follow, including even your own psyche goes down when you're not eating.
That's true.
But again, that's a policy issue.
That's a policy issue.
The policy issue,
okay.
right from the executive, right down to the relevant arm that deals with the production, the storage, the transportation, the milling, and the sending to the end user.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough. Now, we've talked about many things. Some of the things I've heard you say, telecom sector, a lot is happening there. Banks will still make money. Yeah. Manufacturing, it depends. There's slightly more potential with the basic goods. Yes. So food stuff and fast-moving consumer goods generally. Yes. I've heard you say that. What about the other sectors? There's insurance sector that is listed on the NSC. There's a real estate sector that's also listed there. There's a private equity sector. There's the energy sector as well. I mean, do you have a sense of what?
Yeah. Especially it's good you mentioned the energy. The energy is a very interesting sector because the whole world is moving towards clean energy. Now, in terms of power production, I think we only have one producer now, by law. I mean, the one last mile seller,
yes.
KPLC. But producers now we have more than one. We have KenGen and we have the geothermal, and they allow private people to do it.
Yes.
But if you notice, the price per kilowatt hour is falling. Then it was 25, now it's 12 cents per, now it's going to about 8 cents per kilowatt hour. But there's still a lot of opportunity there.
Okay.
But again, our installed capacity now is at 3,300 megawatts, as compared to our peak demand, which is about 1,800. So you can see already we are way above.
Yes.
So the only way you can bridge this big supply or oversupply is if you bring in industries that are heavy in the consumption of power. But those are the steel and anything that involves a lot of smelting and firing. But those kind of industries will only come if the regulatory and the tax, all those regimes we've been talking about are sorted out. And probably that's why they're keeping away.
Okay.
So you see, some of these things that are happening on one side are affecting this other side. Like now, when we had said Kenya, we want to go to 5,000 megawatts. You see, yes. We're already heading there.
Yes, we are about to.
But what we forgot is that we will also need to keep the demand up.
Yes.
Because domestic has reached its limit.
Yes, more or less.
Yes. So now, and this thing is still going on. And don't forget there are power purchases that are coming up. So
yes.
we could hit the 5,000 very easily, maybe in another 3-4 years.
But then now the nature of demand that
and don't forget, this oversupply is still paid for. Because our power purchase agreement is if you produce,
you must pay for it.
The same way if you don't produce, you compensate me. So exactly. The PPA is two-edged. So we are paying for all this as a sunk cost.
Okay. So
why don't we bring industry? But this industry will come and say, we don't like this tax regime. We don't like this compliance regime. We don't like the insecurity in this area. So some of these things we have to sort out. It's a holistic approach to how we attract investors here.
All right.
Yes.
My almost second last question, currency. What's your outlook on currency? Any volatility expected?
Currency, I think CBK has done a fantastic job in keeping us between 100 and 104. And now the other day, they almost brought us back to 100.
Yes.
So, and you see the kind of stock of Forex they have. So clearly they're able to intervene and keep us where they want us. So I think volatility, even what IMF was saying, has not washed. Clearly, CBK is on top of whatever rate they want us to be.
So at least for the year, that should be stable.
I think that should be stable. But again, you remember that is also driven a lot by interest rates.
Okay.
You see, as we start lowering our interest rates, then it will start putting pressure on the dollar.
Then the final question, let me just take you back again to the interest rates. What's the outlook on that? Do you see a situation where the government starts to borrow aggressively from the domestic market? Do you see a situation where the interest rates for local paper or local currency bonds rise from the current levels?
With the current fiscal issues that are going on,
yes,
and you see some expenditure is reversible,
yes,
like the debt one. So that will soak up a lot of our forex as we pay out. So again, when we can't pay our salaries or whatever they can't do, they'll rush here. So the likelihood of what you're saying happening is very high.
Okay. Unless
we shrink size of government, because otherwise it becomes also an irreversible cost.
Okay.
So when that and debt are still sitting the way they are sitting, the likelihood of them from the local market and then putting the rates back up is very high.
So would you put money on the stock exchange based on our conversation?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
But on certain counters,
yes,
especially banks will continue, because banks now, I think they're on a trajectory, and I think they'll continue to do well, especially the ones that are listed there, the telcos, of course.
Yes.
Those will continue to do well.
Okay.
Real estate, as we tend towards the political year, it starts being dicey.
Yes.
So I would be very... Energy, the Kenyans, you see, Kenya Power per se has no problem with the business side of business. It's just they can sort out their problems internally.
Okay.
So I think in the long run they will sort them out.
All right.
And I think I think it will become a good stock.
Okay.
So I think the stock exchange still remains a good home for money.
All right.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is what we always say each and every single time, like the universe of stocks that you have to buy or you can possibly make money and a good return on the NSE, there are 5, and it's just
true.
bugs.
It's true, and I think we need to do something about that, because it may catch up with us one day.
It may catch up with us.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask you just finally, just to remind our viewers, when we started, I asked you, 2020, is it going to be a good year? Is it going to be a bad year? What's your answer to that?
First and foremost, at a personal level, not as an economist or anything, I think it'll be a good year.
It will be a
that
good
is my
year.
personal
So
opinion.
we have to speak goodness.
Yes, and I'm speaking that as a Christian.
Yes.
It will be a good year.
It will be a good year.
Now, speaking to me as an economist, yes, there are indicators that many things could happen. But then again, the good thing is everything that could happen is an if.
Okay.
So when something is an if, it means it's either left or right or middle or maybe out of the options. So it boils down to what are we going to do? About the subject we've spoken about.
Yes.
It's how many right choices we are going to make.
Okay. So it's probably better for you to keep acting, do something.
Yes,
so
let's do something and do something and do right.
Something
the more right things we do,
yes,
the better it will be.
Okay.
Yes.
Even at an individual level.
Yeah, individual level, yes.
All right. Thank you so much for the answers. That is the outlook that we are looking at when we're looking at 2020. Really, what the year will end up being like is more dependent on your actions. So it's probably better for us to get over our thoughts, our negative thoughts, turn them into positive thoughts, and begin to do one thing or another. When we're looking at markets today, the investable universe, it still remains about 5 or so odd companies. We always hear of the banks, that is KCB, we hear Equity Bank up there. We also hear Safaricom up there. And depending on what yields you're looking at, Cooperative Bank is also something that tends to come up in the conversations that we have, as well as Barclays Bank. Now, if you have not invested on the NSE, it's about time that you actually open a CDSC account and started to even make small little investments. I always say this: if you're going to consume something, then you might as well buy it. If you're going to drink alcohol, you might as well buy an EABL stock. If you're going to go bank with a KCB Equity or Standard Chartered, you have no reason why you're not buying that stock. If you're using M-Pesa as a service, whether to transfer money or to Fuliza, really you have no business why you're not buying that stock as of today for your portfolio. Consider this. Thank you for joining us today, and good afternoon.